The Rams could lose as many as 3 of their coaches to other teams this week. Mike McDaniel and his popped collars say sub at a Chargers press conference. And USC hires a Gary Patterson loyalist to help coach defense. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it is January 28, 2026. Welcome back to the home office. By the time you see this clip, I'm going to be flying east for work, which sucks. But if you like being in the know about LA, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. By all means, comment. We have a quick look at the scoreboard before we get to the news. Clippers 115, Utah 103. Kawhi Leonard dropped 21 points. The Kings edged Detroit 3-1. Meanwhile, today, the Lakers are at Cleveland at 4. UCLA is at Oregon at 8. And USC will be at Iowa at 4 o'clock. So, with that out of the way, what do you say we get to the news? You can expect some rapid-fire NFL head coaching decisions this week. Absolutely. The NFL is very, very image conscious. And what that means is they want their PR juggernaut completely focused on the Super Bowl during Super Bowl week. No major personnel news gets announced next week. And this is leading us to wonder about what has become close to an annual tradition with the Rams. The brain drain. The coaches who wind up getting promoted with other teams. Because there are 3 who are still in the running to be a head coach somewhere else. As I update, there are currently 3 teams in need of leadership on the sidelines. Although it could be argued Las Vegas needs wisdom from the owner's box as well, but I digress. So again, back to the Rams. Because now that they've been eliminated, the coaching staff is in position to return text messages, attend Zoom meetings. I want to start off with a story that I'm not sure I believe. I know I don't care that much about it, but it does involve the potential of a coordinator and his future. If one leaves the Rams, that is still a thing. Whether or not I believe Chris Shula is a good defensive coordinator or not. I may think Shula got worked in Seattle, but if Sean McVay likes him, done deal. McVay knows more about football than I do. Anyway, a report surfaced that Pittsburgh hired retread coach Mike McCarthy as their head coach because Shula, quote, bombed the interview. Now, this report comes from a talking head from Pittsburgh Sports Talk Radio. For those of you wondering if Sports Talk Radio still exists, this did not sit well with the Rams front office. Team president Kevin DeMoff went to the socials and took up for Shula, quote, in talking to the Steelers, there is no truth to this. But maybe rather than trying to build up your name by tearing someone else down, you should examine a process that has coaches having the biggest job interviews of their life crammed into an hour the day before a playoff game, unquote. Not exactly the sickest of burns. Moreover, I'm not sure who to believe. I will say that it might be possible that Shula bombed the interview. I don't know. I do not have sources in the Steelers front office, but hear me out. Hiring McCarthy is an odd move for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has had 3 head coaches in my lifetime, and I am not young. What Pittsburgh normally does is they'll hire a young defensive coordinator and keep them super long term. It's been that way for my entire life. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, all young defensive coordinators who were kept until they were retirement age. Shula fits that MO. You know who doesn't? 62-year-old offensive guy Mike McCarthy. it sounds plausible that something went wrong for Shula. As for the other two possibilities for leaving the Rams, offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur appears to be a finalist for the Arizona head coaching vacancy. He landed a second interview, along with Jaguars defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile and Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver. Rams passing game coordinator Nate Scheelhaase actually had his second interview and is one of 3 finalists in Cleveland, along with Jim Schwartz and Todd Monken. Meanwhile, over with the Chargers, newly hired offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel arrived for his introductory press conference with his wardrobe upgrade from your local H&M, and he told the scribes that one of his priorities is taking a little off Justin Herbert's plate. And then he popped his collar again. All of which sounds neato. You know, as a matter of fact, I mean, the idea of taking things off of Justin Herbert's plate sounds so doggone good that Greg Roman pretty much said the same thing when he was hired as offensive coordinator 2 years ago. McDaniel is Herbert's 5th offensive coordinator with the Chargers, and all of them want to take things off of Justin Herbert's plate, and it's the same thing every single season. Herbert has to carry the entire offense on his shoulders. Take Roman, for example. Roman, when he was asked about Justin Herbert, he says, hey, can you imagine Justin Herbert with a great running game? I can imagine what it might look like, so that's kind of the vision, unquote. And McDaniel was saying things just along that as well. Now, to be fair to McDaniel, I realize I'm not totally positive on this hire, but we will be fair here. To be fair to McDaniel, he said that he also knows from the experience coaching the Miami Dolphins that protecting oft-injured Tua Tagovailoa has to become the importance now. He's with the Chargers coaching Justin Herbert. Got to protect the quarterback. But again, the personnel that the Bolts have on offensive line inherently puts Justin Herbert at risk. You cannot completely scheme your way into keeping Herbert healthy. It doesn't work that way. Eventually, somebody's going to break through that Charmin offensive line. Herbert has had the absolute hell kicked out of him in the last 2 seasons. He's been sacked 96 times. So, if you're a Rams or Chargers fan, feel free to let me know what you think about this coaching churn. Meanwhile, over at USC, the Trojans didn't exactly say it, but it's become somewhat clear that to land Gary Patterson as defensive coordinator, he would want at least one loyalist on the staff. So, the Trojans also hired defensive passing game coordinator and cornerbacks coach Paul Gonzalez as the Trojans' new defensive backs coach. He replaces Doug Belk, whose contract was up. Now, Gonzalez, yes, he went to Baylor, but he spent many, many years working his way up the coaching totem pole under Patterson when both were at TCU. And by the way, also with the Trojans coaching staff, we have a report, but the report is not sourced, that says current linebacker coach Rob Ryan will now become a team analyst. And as a result, that will allow incoming coach Mike Eckler to coach the linebackers. Again, unsourced. That same report claims that defensive line coach Eric Henderson, defensive ends coach Sean Nua, and quarterbacks coach Trevon Reed are all expected to stay. So that would pretty much round out the Trojans coaching staff. But again, unsourced report, not made official. The Galaxy have finalized a purchase to bring center forward Yao Kloss from St. Loser City SC. Galaxy general manager Will Kuntz said the striker was his top target all offseason. They had originally reached out to St. Loser because they had heard Klaus had been downgraded from designated player status, But in order to come to LA, apparently he would want to be a DP all over again. Now that was off the table because the Galaxy had already used up their 3 DP spots. Until Ricky Puig, well, needed another knee surgery. So with Puig off to the side, that opened up a DP spot. Klaus played 3 years over in St. Loser. He averaged 9 goals per year. So all 3 designated player spots with the Galaxy are occupied by forwards. Who's going to pass them the ball since Puig only has 1 knee? No idea. No idea. The Trolls were out on the socials with their own narrative after the Dodgers signed Kyle Tucker. Oh, the Dodgers, they never develop anyone. They never, ever develop anyone. Oh, really? Another media outlet has released its top 100 baseball prospects. According to ESPN, the Dodgers have 5 on the list. Now, it's going to be an outfield heavy list for the Dodgers, kind of like the one that CBS released a couple of weeks ago. We have been talking about LA's top guy for a couple of years now, outfielder Josue De Paula. He's ranked 21st overall, and he should be knocking on the door to get to the majors by the end of the year. For the record, he is the only guy among the Dodger prospects who could possibly crack LA's roster this year, according to ESPN's forecasts. What could be holding him back might be solved by the time he reaches the majors. In other words, he makes contact. He's got incredible plate discipline. LA absolutely loves that. But they want contact for power. And apparently, throughout his experience in the minor leagues, the swing is just completely flat. So major league coaches on the Dodgers are going to try to get him to change the so-called launch angle. Now, for those of you who don't follow analytics and all the way the Dodgers break things down, the upshot is simple. If you hit a baseball at an angle between, say, 25 and 29 degrees, at that angle, at a particular speed, they theorize the ball is automatically going to go over the fence. How they get somebody to get that swing to create that launch angle is beyond my understanding. That's what the major league coaches do. Eduardo Quintero ranks 37th. He's said to be above average in everything. Then you have 2 more outfielders, Zahir Hope ranked 40th and Mike Sirota at 55th. You have to get all the way to 65 to find shortstop Emil Morales, who's quite a ways away from getting to the majors, if he gets there. But they're looking at him as potentially an annual all-star. So there is that. The Athletic has reported the Clippers extended team president Lawrence Frank for 4 years, which is probably when the Clippers will have maybe almost stopped sending draft picks over to Oklahoma City in exchange for Paul George. So there's that. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about the coaching updates for the Rams, Chargers, and USC. And if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James, and we'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.